Hello, all. Looks like I'm live. And for all of my fun, kind, and loving followers that are in here right now, I am first going to address the ignorant trolls that like to come in and start watching a video instead of taking the time because they're too doggone impatient to find out what these videos are about and the layout of this channel, because for some reason the name Rain Country Live doesn't clue it in, and the fact that it says streamed so many hours ago at the bottom of the screen or just below the screen, they want to cuss me out because I'm not getting to the point right away. Let me explain something to you. If you want to take the time to actually listen, this is a live channel. These are live shows. I come in 10 minutes early out of a courtesy to my very kind followers so that they have plenty of time to get in here and get their notifications. So I like to take the first 10 minutes, maybe 15 tops, but I try to keep it at 10, to just say hi to everyone, maybe give an announcement. Then what I do, if you're too impatient for live shows, is I take these, I download them once they're ready, I edit them and bring them down to just the point of the video, which could be 15 to 30 minutes, and I cut out all the unnecessary chatter. And I put that on my main channel, simply called Rain Country. So now that I got all that out of the way, to all the rude people that want to cuss me out for stupid reasons. Hi, all. So, yes, coming in early, as always. Besides, I see you guys were already in here waiting, ready to chat and have some fun. And thank you for showing up. Oh, yeah, this morning I came in here. I don't get on this channel often. I forget to kind of check because I don't get a lot of comments and stuff. It's not as busy, right? It's a much smaller channel. And I'm like, really? This person's going to cuss me out? Get to the point, blah, 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 blah. Or, they told me to shut up in a very not nice way. So dumb. It's so dumb. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So that's why, though, usually when I start my lives, I try to explain for those who come back to watch the replay. So if they want to get to the point, all they got to do is take that little bar and move it in about 10 minutes because that's just so difficult to do. Anyway, I explain that so people will know who just might not know. They might be innocent people that just don't know how it works. And then you just got people that would like to be jerks because they're miserable and they like to make everybody else miserable. And I get it. And as you can see, I can get pretty dang fired up. We like to blame things on our hair color or our heritage. So I blame it on the fact that, well, I'm an Italian, okay? And I use my hands a lot too. So anyway, I did have red hair for a short time too, but it was dyed. It was the only time I dyed my hair for a couple of years when I was about 20 years old, 20 to 21, 19 to 20. I don't remember. And it was just to add burgundy highlights. But what I didn't understand is every time I did that, it bleached the rest of my hair out a little more. So that the last time I dyed my hair, I was so used to the gradually changing color that I didn't realize till people started calling me a redhead that I was a redhead. If you can imagine that. Maybe one of these days I'll share that picture of me on Mount Rainier where the sun's hitting my orange hair. I'll share it on Facebook or Instagram or something so people can get a kick out of it. Anyway, so we got about 5 more minutes before we get into our topic. So I thought, and hello again to everybody coming in. It's good to see y'all. Really do appreciate you. I seen that Deb's got grandbabies today too. Great grandbabies, that is. And I only had 3 of them yesterday. I told Kayla I cannot take Kyra today. I did something to my back, and that little girl, she's chunk-o-matic. Okay, so we have that. She only weighs 2 pounds less than her 3-year-old sister, and Kyra is not even quite 9 months old yet. Yeah. Well, because Rowan is teeny tiny. She's like the size of maybe an 18-month-old, and I'm not kidding. So people probably see her running around with her longish hair and saying words and wondering why a little baby is so smart. That's because she's 3. What was I saying? Oh, so I was kinda sad because Kyra, I was surprised at how quickly Kyra took to me and just bonded to me, and I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna miss having her," but she likes to have a lot of attention. She can't walk yet. She's not crawling yet. She scoots, and so when people are in other rooms without her, she gets so angry and she just gets mad. She does not like being alone. She's very, very social. So I gotta pack her everywhere. And I told Kayla, I said, I cannot do it because I need my back to heal and I keep re-injuring it. I'm pretty sure it's a pulled muscle. It's been very frustrating. In fact, I bought myself a back brace just so when I'm shooting my standing videos, like my this and that videos, I can have something to hold just to keep it from me ending up in extreme pain by the time the video is over. Because if I stand in one place for more than 5-10 minutes, it really, really starts to hurt. If I'm moving, walking around and stuff, that's not so bad. But oh man, just trying to shoot a video, usually I'm standing there about 20 to 25 minutes, even if I edit it down to 15. It's crazy. So anyway, that's what's been going on. And then another thing, I got 3 minutes. I keep looking at the time. So this is our old mag light. Remember when they made these? I mean, this thing is heavy. And we've had this for years, long before LEDs came out. And somebody told me that, oh, you can convert them into an LED flashlight because, they take 3D batteries and then the incandescence, just eats up the battery life, right? So I got a little LED bulb, and it was easy for Patrick to switch it out. I probably could have done it myself and just switch it out for the LED. But I'm sure I probably should have looked to see if there was a better quality one, because though it works, I guess it looks bright enough there. I thought it would be a lot brighter. So I don't know if they, it was one that's specifically made for D-cell flashlights like this, which I'd imagine the batteries in this thing should last an eternity until they just die on their own without being used. Because obviously the batteries that were in there were dead because it's been sitting unused for so many years. But it was cool to find out I could take a good quality flashlight like this and convert it to LED. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed it's not brighter. I don't know if you can buy a brighter light bulb to switch it out with. But it's bright enough to do what we need it to do. But hang on just a minute. I forgot to turn the heat in here off. I do run the heat in here every now and then. Just take the chill off this room because it's one of the farthest away. It's a big room. But I don't always forget. I just like to heat it a little bit just so it doesn't freeze in here. But then I got the dehydrators running, so I hope that's not too much noise. But I feel like that when that heater comes on, it's just too much noise. So, okay, it's time to start. Or almost time to start. Got 1 more minute. I'm doing pretty good. I'm staying on track despite what some of the haters want to think, because they're not bright enough to figure out to just like read a title, like even the title of the channel. But yeah. So anyway, I'm glad you guys still love me, even though I've got a temper and I can fire off at people. I did fire off at this person. I wasn't really nice, but then I blocked them so nobody had to see whoever they are. So they'll still be able to see their comment and my reply, but nobody else, including myself, can see it anymore. So, okay, so today I've actually got 2 topics I'm going to cover. Hopefully, if all goes well, and then separate it into 2 videos. You didn't hear the heater and you don't hear the dehydrator. Thank you, Brandy, for letting me know that, because To me, it sounds kinda loud, but it is just, like, right there, just the top one's running. But I've got my mic, so I'm hoping that's good enough. Anyway, so hello, everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Almost forgot to throw that greeting in there. I need it for my other video. So I just thought it would be kind of fun to talk a little bit about the grains I like to use. Now, I noticed somebody asked about gluten-free. I personally, we are not gluten-free. We have no need to be gluten-free. We cut back on gluten for a short period of time when we were weaning ourselves off the thyroid. We were just trying to do everything we could to make sure that that whole process went smoothly, but that was the only reason why. Just in case the gluten could have been a problem why we had low functioning thyroid and had to be on the medication. But now we don't worry about it, and it's been 14 years since we went off. So I do have some gluten-free recipes on my main channel, and I have a gluten-free flour blend that I was making for a while when we had friends that were gluten-free, and, but, I ended up giving a lot of that. I was stocking up on a lot of it. I ended up giving a lot of it away because there was no more need for that, and we just don't really, even though I did pretty good on creating the gluten-free pie crust. I was really, really happy with how it turned out. It's still just in the same, but I was happy with how it turned out. It was close. It was very, very close. It was still flaky and light, but anyway, so I say all that because the grains that I store are not going to be gluten free. Now, for a low gluten option, at least, or a gluten that is usually more tolerable, uh, going with ancient grains is a really good idea, and that is some of the ones I recommend stocking up on. And I did try growing some einkorn wheat that actually did pretty good. However, I haven't done anything with it. I've just been saving it for seed. I have heard that grinding the einkorn, I don't know if the others like the emmer and some of those other ones can be a little sticky. I think when I was trying einkorn a few years ago, I was mixing it in with my hard wheat grains. And I'll talk more about why I do mix soft and hard together in a bit, but I have two main grains I store for breads, generally speaking. You know, whether it be yeast breads, especially when I'm making the cracker bread. I call it cracker bread. They're crackers, you can call it whatever you want. And it's all I use only the whole grain flour that I grind up myself, plus added seeds like chia, flax, black seed. Sometimes I'll throw in poppy. I was using hemp seed for a while, but I decided I'm not really all as crazy about hemp seed as I once thought, or the hemp hearts. So mostly those other ones, especially I try to get the black seed in there and the flax and chia. And I soak them in the warm water before I start making the crackers. I like to soak them for at least 10, 15 minutes. But that I do use just nothing but, I don't use any white flour in there. So the two grains are the barley, which is a softer grain. The look and texture of it when you go to grind it is very, very similar to a soft wheat grain. So if you're new to grains like this, you may not realize that some grains are much harder. That's why they're given the name soft or hard. But even some of them, like barley, is not given that name soft, but it is a soft grain. You can tell just by looking at it, it's kind of fatter. Your harder greens tend to be greens. Your harder grains tend to be kind of skinnier looking. And um the thing I don't like about the soft grains, they are more delicate and they're great for doing more delicate things like pastries and whatnot. But when you go to grind them, they take a very long time to go through the grinder. Doesn't matter if you're doing it with electric or you're doing it by hand, they take a long time. They're easy to grind because they're soft. So if you're doing it by hand, they're easier to grind. It's easier to turn that wheel than with the hard grains. but for some reason, it takes them so darn long to go through the mill. And so I do a blend of the hard white wheat. So it's a 50-50 blend. And when you mix the two together, you get a better all purpose flour because you're getting the delicacy of the soft delicacy. Um, anyway, you're getting that softer grain that's great for your more delicate things, where the harder grains do help hold things together better and assist the softer grains when going through the mill, and it just goes through nice and smooth. So that's why I like to do the blend. And one of the reasons I brought this topic up this time, not like I've never talked about it before, but usually I'm doing a general video on grains, but I just want to talk specifically about the things I use for bread. Well, somebody had told me, or had asked me, well, I know I have to store hard red wheat. No, you don't. That's See, here's the problem when you got a lot of prepping channels out there that are only focused on just prepping. And this is what you have to do. You have to have oxygen absorbers. Wrong. And I fell for a lot of this too. You have to have the hard red wheat because it stores the longest. Well, there's something called hard white wheat that stores just as long. It's a great wheat to store. And if you're one who, like me, never liked the flavor of wheat breads when I was, especially when I was younger, I mean, I wanted to like it because I knew it was healthier than plain white bread, but I never liked the flavor until I got into starting to put up grains and things like that and found out there's more than just one kind of wheat. And I realized that the red wheat is where you get that more bitter flavor that makes up most of the wheat breads that you buy. If you like that, great, store that. That's what you should store. But I have never cared for that flavor. I mean, I can tolerate it. And as an adult, I've learned to like it okay, but it's just not the same, especially when you're making certain things where you really don't want that particular flavor in there. Where your hard white wheat, you get all the same benefits of the having that hard grain and long storage life without that flavor. It's very mild, maybe just a tad sweeter, if you could say that. I really like the flavor. Um, because of that, it blends well with anything and everything when it comes to making a flour, as does the barley. The other reason I like to mix it with the barley is going to have its own benefits that are going to be different than your wheat. Now, again, for those who have issues with gluten, I'll just repeat this. I do recommend looking into your ancient grains that are wheat grains, but some of the original grains before the gluten became what it is. And a lot of times people can make that change and do just fine on those. But they are far, far, far more expensive. Now, I only buy organic, non-GMO grains, and I get all mine from Azure Standard. I personally have never had any issues with my bags of grain. And um, I know I had a bag of spelt that ended up getting filled up with weevils before I realized there were weevils in it. But that spelt, I can't remember where I got it. I think it was before I started getting the grains from Azure Standard. I might have got it from Honeyville because for a while Honeyville was selling grains. And I used to get some stuff from there. I don't even know if they're around anymore. I stopped dealing with them. But spelt is another one that is a good grain to store. However, it is also a softer grain, kind of like barley, maybe not as soft as barley or soft white wheat. Soft white wheat is great too. I used to store that as well. But I replaced the soft white wheat with the barley so I could get the benefits of both wheat and barley in there too. So those are my favorites. And then, and spelt is a great one. It doesn't have a strong flavor the way the red wheat does, But I also do store the organic, unbleached white flour that I get from Azure Standard. I used to be able to get when we would go into Costco, I would get their organic unbleached white flour. I believe they still carry it. It's a good flour. It's just we almost never get into the Costco store because it's 75 miles away. So anything I get from Costco, typically I have ordered online, and the flour I don't think is available. And even if it is now, I just get it from Azure Standard. I've been very pleased with it. And the reason I like the white flour, again, unbleached being very important, and organic also being very important to me, is when I'm making yeast breads and biscuits, especially those 2, I really like to use a blend of my whole grain flour and the white flour to make it more fluffy. Because the problem with your whole grains is, anyone who's worked with breads at all know that it tends to make your breads and such heavier. So they might not get the same kind of puffiness or rise as they would if you lighten it up with the flour. But if it came right down to it and I had to, and I just had to rely on whole grains, then yeah, I would still do that. I would still make my yeast breads, biscuits, and all that. We just prefer having that white flour blend in there. Um, and then cookies, I'll use, let's see, I haven't made sweetbread. I haven't made sweetbreads in a long time, like apple bread or zucchini bread. I haven't banana bread. I haven't made any of that in a while. Keep saying, "Oh, I should make some more." I haven't done it. Applesauce bread, like taking some applesauce stored. I should do that. But I think I use all whole grain flours in those, or I do a half and half blend, and then a half and half blend in cookies, and pretty much all of that. The only thing I know for certain, and I've done pie crust using just the whole grain, and that turns out pretty good. And that's a great one too, because you don't have to worry about it rising. The problem I tend to find sometimes though with whole grain flours and pie crust, if you roll it out and it's more likely to fall apart and not hold together as well. If I remember correctly. Was that what the issue was? Or was it because I was trying the nut meal from, where I'd make some kind of nut milk out of whatever nuts I had on hand, and then take the pulp and then dry it out and then use it as a flour. It seems like I know that one doesn't hold together real well as a pie crust, but it has a good taste, but it tends to be a little tough. But at any rate, so um then the other flour I now store is the organic semolina flour, solely for pasta making. That's the only reason I'm storing that now. So I bought a 25-pound bag of it from Azure, and it was the best price I've seen on an organic semolina flour in forever, probably ever. And it's organic, non-GMO, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. What's Linda say? It's almost never an all or nothing thing unless a person is truly 100% gluten intolerant. Sometimes just replacing a percentage of refined flour with the good stuff will really help. Right. And that's Linda. That's what I've come to find out from people I know that were going gluten free for a while, and then found they just needed to make a few subtle changes, or going with sourdough, even if it was all gluten laden, they could handle that because of the way it was basically pre-digested by you know the the bacteria of the sourdough. And so, or some people found simply grinding their own flours, going with fresh milled flour. I remember a lady I used to follow. What was her name? Gosh, years and years ago. I was following her on the Prepper Broadcasting Network, if anybody remembers that. Long time ago. And I think she lives, well, there was Melissa K. Norris was one of them, but this was a different lady. And I liked her too. I followed her on there too. But I think she was also in Washington State, because Melissa K. Norris is in Washington State, but I think this other lady was too. Really, really enjoyed listening to her. But they were gluten free. Then she found when she started just buying whole organic grains and then milling them up herself, they didn't have to be gluten free anymore. That was all they needed to do was make that one change. So that's what I've noticed is with a lot of people, it's making maybe sometimes just one small change, whether it be going with the ancient grains, going with a sourdough, or going with freshly ground grains and making sure they're organic and non-GMO. A lot of times that's all the change people need to make without even having to invest in the ancient grains, which can be very expensive. So let me see if there was anything else I wanted to say on that topic. Oh, I was going to recommend rye too. I like rye. I don't remember if Patrick likes rye or not. I had some rye stored for way too long and forgot about it, and I don't remember if I froze it first. I've been trying to get in the habit when I have freezer space to freeze my grains when I get them in for about a week, if they're depending on the size of the bag, and then take them out, air them out, let them get make sure there's no moisture in there before I pack them into the buckets. But anyway, I was thinking, oh, I need to pull that rye out and grind it up and make some rye bread. Because I kept forgetting about it, and it didn't have weevils in it, but it had something in there. It was some kind of little teeny tiny bug, smaller than weevils. I don't know what they were. I've never seen them before. They were really small. So I ended up freezing those to kill all the bugs, whatever was in there, so they wouldn't spread. And then, no, I didn't use them for bread. I ended up adding them to the chicken scratch until I worked through all of them because chickens don't care. They like bugs. so but I just mostly wanted to make sure anything in there was dead before I put the bag along with the other chicken grains because those are all stored in the house. I was storing them out in the chicken coop, but not only did I not have enough space for all that I started storing, but I was more concerned about issues out there, and I wanted them in the house where they'd be safer from rats, mice, and bugs. So, yeah, I didn't want whatever that was infecting all the other stuff and then spreading through the house, even though my other grains are stored in very, very different places, the ones that are stored for us. So, it would take a lot of traveling for them to get to our other grains. But yeah, anyway, so rye, if you like it, there's a lot of other ancient grains that are a wheat type grain. I think I keep wanting to say kamut. I don't, is that right? Yeah, I think it is Kamut. Maybe somebody could say something there if they know. I think that's what it is. I've never tried that one, and there's several more. I've only tried emmer and einkorn when it comes to those. And then you have your other types of seeds like, amaranth and oh, what's the one? It's another one. It starts with a B. I'm having a buckwheat. I love buckwheat. There's another good one to store. I do recommend though, if you're going to buy buckwheat, get hulled buckwheat. You can grind up the buckwheat with the hulls in it. I one time ordered buckwheat because it is a gluten free, and of all the gluten free flours, that's probably my favorite. I've always loved the flavor of buckwheat, but I didn't realize it had hulls, hard hulls. They will grind up okay, but then you'll end up with all these black flakes in your flour, and it will make the things that you make look kind of gray. I just didn't like the way it ended up looking. So now I know to look for hulled buckwheat when I buy that because I still like buckwheat. I'll still have that and keep that on hand just for our own selves. Buckwheat pancakes. I just have to remember I have it. So let's see. Yeah. Oh, and I was going to say also make sure that if you're trying any of these grains for the first time, I would say buy a small amount. try it first. See if it's a dietary issue, see if it's gonna work for you first, but also see if you like the flavor of it or if it's going to work well in the different types of breads and, you know, pastas and cookies, crackers and whatnot that you make before you invest in getting a bunch of it. Because, like I said, a lot of people were telling me when I was, talking about growing that einkorn just to see if I could, um, because it is a really expensive grain. People were asking me or telling me that, they just found it to be very sticky and harder to work with. So, I don't know from experience again, because other than that one the whole grains I'd bought a long time ago, and mixed it in with the other grains. So, it could be because I was mixing it in with the hard white wheat that I didn't have any issues with it. Because again, the hard white wheat just kind of helps hold everything together, helps it go cleanly through the grain mill, etc. So, okay, so anyway, I think unless anybody has anything to add, let me double check, make sure I've Oh, I was going to add because typically they do say that your hard berries store longer and better than soft berries, but honestly, I haven't seen any issue with the soft ones other than the ones that ended up getting weevils. I really haven't had any issues with the long-term storage. And this is me not using oxygen absorbers or anything like that. Though I have to admit, I have some wheat grains I keep forgetting that I have stored in Patrick's shop because I stopped using that for food storage a long time ago, but I still have some, like, they're big buckets, not like your 5-gallon buckets, not your 7-gallon buckets. These are much bigger. They're like twice the size, probably 10-gallon buckets that have, wheat grains stored in them, and that was back when I was still using I was trying out the l lame oxygen absorbers and storing them in Mylar too, inside the buckets, and I keep forgetting about it. I told Patrick the other day, "I need to pull those grains out and check them and see if they're still good, see if maybe rats might have chewed through the bucket and the Mylar, or see if see if they're, still good." I would imagine as long as everything stayed sealed, they should still be good. I highly doubt there'd be a problem. I mean, they've probably been out there for 12 years or more. Just keep forgetting I have them. So, E. Townsend says, "I don't see a difference." I'm assuming you're talking about you uh I'm getting an are you talking about the grains? You don't see a difference in the softer or hard when it comes to storage? I'm assuming that's what you mean because that's what I was talking about. Linda says, "If your grains are too old, can't you just turn them into chicken feed?" Yep, I sure can. But I would still like to check them and see how well they've held up, and if they look good, then taste them and see what the flavor's like. And but yeah, any grains that have got um weevils, because I've had a couple different bags of both times it was spelt get weevils. I did the same thing where I froze them to kill them off so they don't spread anywhere else, then just fed it to the chickens. So I this is yet another reason why I love having chickens, because stuff like that doesn't go to waste, and I'm usually mixing my own feed to some degree. I still buy feed, but I'm usually mixing other things and I make my own scratch for them using different whole grains that I get, all organic stuff. So, yes, with the grains, I haven't had good luck with buckets. Oh, um, anyway, I store a lot of them in buckets. Not necessarily vacuum sealed, not only use Mylar if it's something that's going into long-term storage. But the stuff that I keep in my pantry, and I'll have big buckets of grains and I'll just rotate through those directly. And I just keep them in the bags they came in. It's just like the flour. What I do, because this is the easiest way for me, because again, I'm pretty sure they're 10-gallon buckets. Instead of buying the 50-pound bag of flour, which might save me a little bit more, I buy the 25-pound bags of flour. And then I can put two of those bags into a bucket at a time, and I stack them in a certain way so that I make sure that they're kind of in a wedge shape so that the newest one goes in first because that this means I got to pull the other one out. The newest bag goes in first with the the wide part of the wedge down, so the top of the bag comes up, and then the oldest one gets inverted and goes on top, and so that they're like two wedges, like this, right? And then I have an open bag that I keep out, and then that's what I'm using working through. And then when I get to the bottom of that, I'll order another bag and then switch everything out. I think that's how I pulled my back muscle last month, was all that moving, packing stuff around, packing it from this end of the house to the other end of the house, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it was mostly the bending over and pulling out because it was kind of, they get kind of, speaking of wedges, they get wedged into the bucket pretty tight. And so it took a lot of yanking to get that to come out. And I think that's when I did it, maybe. But anyway, so, okay. Excuse me. I'm drinking tea today. It's a very weird tea. And now I'm mostly just making myself one big cup of tea at a time. And I love this tea ball. I just keep it in there. I just have to be careful not to poke myself in the eye. Doctor, every time I drink my tea, my right eye hurts. Are you right-handed? Yeah. Well, then take the spoon out before you drink your. That's why I keep thinking about that old joke because of this sticking out. I love this tea ball. It's the one that Stacy sent me. Anyway, the tea. Before I go on to the next topic, I got to share this with you. It's kind of funny. I actually talk about it in my Monday this and that video, my next one, because I just shot it this morning. So I was dehydrating lovage leaves, which I got more back in here. Did I say what I have back in here? I have lovage leaves, lovage stalks. I dry them separately on separate trays because the stalks I cut up and use like celery, and the leaves are going to go into my mixed greens, and along with the dandelion leaves, nettle, and nori. But and I've got, let's see, what else do I have in there? I have yarrow. Is that it? No, and valerian leaves. But anyway, so the other day I was dehydrating lemon balm and lovage leaves. And I probably should have put my glasses on. My eyes were bad that day. Some days my eyes are much better than others. And I just pulled all the herbs out. I think I was tired too. It was kind of getting to be evening. And I just like, okay, oh, these are dry. That's it. Yeah, it was the end of the day. I was tired. I wanted to get that all taken care of. I took the lemon balm and lovage leaves and put them all in the same jar, forgetting I had the lemon balm in there. I was like, I realized it later. I'm like, it was the lovage I forgot I had in there. I was thinking it was just lemon balm. I'm like, man, this lemon balm smells really strong. I thought it smelled good, but it was just different. And then I was like, ding, light went on. I mixed the lovage leaves and the lemon balm together. That's going to be strange. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it as a tea and see what it tastes like. It's really not bad. It's not bad, but I do want to get it used up because I don't want to waste all that. So I've just been every day making myself a big cup of the tea with my shepherd's crook mug. And yeah, using the little tea ball. Anyway, kind of funny story. They all looked the same, those leaves. Anyway, let's see. I learned the hard way. Gamma lids are not always watertight. I have wet cane sugar with rainwater. Oh my goodness. Wonder if I can dehydrate it or make a syrup. I would think making a syrup with it and canning it. Yeah, I'd do that. Whether it just be like a cane syrup or even if you wanted to add in some fruit and make some fruit syrup out of it, blueberry, strawberry, raspberry, whatever you got, blackberry. I think that'd be a good idea, but that's still a bummer. Sorry about that. I was told yeah. So here's the deal with the freezing of the grains and why I started doing it was because if I didn't have weevils. Yeah, I have been storing grains for years, never had weevils. And then all of a sudden, bam, I had weevils. And I'm like, okay. So I learned about how the whole thing works. And I think you're going to find this more commonly in organically grown grains that, haven't been sprayed with a bunch of garbage, right? Meaning they're going to be more susceptible to getting bugs. And weevils, what they do is they um plant. What am I trying to say? They lay their eggs inside of the grains themselves, and you won't know they're there. So you could get a bag of grains and it can look clean. You don't see any weevils in there, but all it takes is I don't know if it's just I assume maybe a couple of weevils, but all it takes is for a couple of the grains to have weevil eggs in there and they start hatching out and they eat their way out of the grain and then they start making babies and then they're planting more eggs and then the whole thing ends up just full of weevils. So freezing your grains will kill any possible weevil larvae or eggs that are inside the grain because you won't know that. You won't know for certain. And it is a good idea. My problem right now is just having the space because now my freezers are packed full. And I should just get myself a freezer, another like a freezer that's just big enough to fit a 50-pound bag or two. I don't worry about the chicken grains when it comes to that, because if they get weevils in them, whatever, then maybe I'll make space to freeze them to prevent them from spreading. But it's just rarely ever an issue. So but that's another good reason too why it might be better for some people to get smaller bags to stock up on. I mean, typically not always, but typically you can get a better price per pound buying 50 pounds over 25 pounds. But even if you are paying more for the 25-pound bag, if it's going to help add a little bit of insurance, or just like me with the flour, it makes that whole switcheroo thing so much easier. Um, Sometimes it's worth paying that, extra cent or two per pound for something. And if it's a matter of space, I mean, I can definitely far more easily make space for a 25-pound bag of grains than I can for a 50-pound bag of grains. And actually, a lot of the stuff my freezers are full of are ice packs. I always keep a lot of ice packs in my freezer. So if somebody has a power outage, or if we need them for packing coolers, I can just pull them out. But if I need the space for something like that, I just pull out all those ice packs. I could easily fit a 25-pound bag of grains in there, because that's about how much space those ice packs take up. See, it won't turn into a solid block in the canning jars, will it? It sh If you're talking about, cooking it down into a syrup first, I don't think it shouldn't, but I learned the hard way. Oh, I already read that. I already read that. Okay. Let me go on to the second topic, which is oh, wait. No, am I done yet? Okay, I talked about oh, I do have sorry. Sorry, I'm so disjointed. I had drew a line here, and usually that line means I'm separating topics. For some reason, I drew that line there, and I don't know why, because this is part of the same topic. So I did talk a little bit about storage. I do recommend like we don't do this, but it is a really great idea, especially if you have rats or mice wherever you're storing could be a problem. Galvanized garbage cans. Get clean galvanized garbage cans. And then whether or not you use Mylar is going to be up to you. Mylar can help make it a little more airtight than storing it in the original paper bags. Like all the grains I get now only come in paper bags, which I prefer over the plastic, and I like to keep them in the paper bags. But you could put that whole bag like that inside Mylar so it's not actually touching your grains, and then seal that up. The one thing Mylar is going to do is going to help prevent the scent of the grains from getting to the rodents that will want to chew through your plastic buckets if you're storing them in plastic, and then keep them just more airtight. And then I just push as much air as I can out and then seal it up, and don't use oxygen absorbers. But yeah, using a galvanized garbage can over plastic buckets can be a really great way to do that. So, and whether or not you want to use oxygen absorbers, that's up to you. I just found through the time that I used them, that they were just a complete waste of money and absolutely not necessary. And I've come to believe they were just more of a gimmick because, and people, somebody's always wanting to convince you, especially all those AI generated videos are always talking about, oh, with oxygen absorbers and Mylar bags, like that's the only way to store stuff. Do you remember how Joseph stored all the grains in Egypt? They didn't have Mylar and oxygen, and they had oxygen. I hope they had oxygen. They didn't have oxygen absorbers, but they stored those for 7 years. Well, no, it would have been longer because they started storing it through the first 7 years, and then it lasted them through the 7 years of famine. So some of that could have been stored up for 14 years without all that fancy schmancy stuff. Okay. Just a silo or two or 100. I don't know. I don't know how many silos they had. Okay. For reals now. For really reals. Let me let me go to topic number 2, which is a continuation. It goes hand in hand, but it's a continuation of my little series. I didn't know it was going to be a series of 3 foods I store and why. And well, maybe I kind of knew it was going to be a series, but I've done videos where I'm like, beyond rice and beans, or I'm talking about everything else I store besides just your rice, beans, and grains. The things that your old people are always telling you to store, especially when you first get into preparedness. But it's like a lot of stuff that I'm talking about in these videos. So I thought, why not break it down and then just explain why I store these? And I'm not saying you need to. I'm just saying why I do it, and it's something to consider. Now, a lot, especially these AI generated preparedness videos, they are constantly saying, you got to run out and buy this right now and buy 50 pounds or however many pounds or so many packages. And it's like, dumb. What if that person doesn't like or need that item? It's stupid. So I really hate the way, but even real people will talk that way. And I hate that so much because I kind of fell for that too in the beginning when I started kind of freaking out and seeing, and this was back in 2010. Oh, we got to do it this way and that way. No. So I figure here's a real life person just sharing what she does and why. And it doesn't mean I don't change the way I do things or why I do things over the years, which is another reason why I like talking about this stuff frequently. But I'm saying foods, but it's not necessarily, it depends on how you look at it. Let's say food related products. And I put right at the top on this one. The first one is coffee beans. Hello, coffee beans. Some of us really like coffee, but it's not that I'm that addicted to coffee because I'm not. I usually only drink it in the morning, but and then like do like herbal teas, water, plain water the rest of the day. Um, but the thing is, coffee has its own, if you like coffee, okay, coffee has its own health benefits that it's been so demonized, like so many things, and they always got to trade it for something else. Okay, we're going to stop demonizing coffee now, and instead of demonizing that, let's demonize vegetables and say they're bad for you because of the oxalates, whatever, potato, okay. And then people freak out about that now. You used to never hear about it. Now everybody's freaking out about it. Okay, so don't eat your vegetables where, okay, I'm going to get off on a tangent. I'm going to stop because I get so annoyed over this topic. So, coffee has health benefits. Obviously, just like with anything, including vegetables that are high in oxalates, those can be mostly cooked out. You're going to be fine. But okay, excuse me. Let me stop. Everything has a certain amount of moderation. You can get the good health benefits out of any food or drink, but practice moderation because there is such thing as getting too much caffeine. Okay, so having coffee on hand, you can learn about the benefits. I did a video not too long ago about the health benefits of coffee. And the other thing is that if it's a good source of, a good item to use for barter. It can be even if you don't like to drink it, it can be a good barter item, and it can also be used in recipes, like, making a coffee cream chocolate or whatever. But even if none of that is appealing to you or you're too afraid to barter, I do cover this in a video that's coming up, the fear of bartering thing. Don't be afraid of bartering. Learn how to do it now because it could save you a lot of money and a lot of heartache down the road if you start learning now. But at any rate, um, maybe I talked about that in a live show. Did I talk about that in a live show? I don't remember. But anyway, the other thing is that even if you don't like to drink coffee, it can be a good natural source of energy when you need it most. So this is one you'll hear a lot of, hardcore preppers talk about. And I think it's a good thing to consider because real life happens to everyone. It doesn't have to be you watching out for the zombie hordes coming and somebody needing to keep a night watch. And so they need to stay awake. And that's why you should have coffee on hand. It could be simply be maybe you've got a sick family member that you need to watch over and they need constant help and you need to stay up all night with them. It could be any reason, and having some coffee on hand to get you through some of these difficult times, I think is really important. On top of the fact that we like coffee around here, okay? That's important to us too. But like I bring these other things up because keeping at least a little bit on hand, it doesn't have to be a stocking up situation. Like we have enough coffee to last us at least a couple of years. And we store it in coffee bean form because just like the whole grains, they're going to store better and longer that way. So, see, my ladies' Bible study just finished the study on Joshua or Joseph, and I was wondering how he stored so that it lasted that long. They had grain silos. Whatever they added to it, I can definitely tell you this, they weren't oxygen absorbers. So they didn't have Mylar bags to stick them in either. Anyway, okay, so item number 2. Even though I do store up on the semolina flour, like I've already mentioned, for making homemade pastas, I am still going to continue to stock up on pre-made dry pasta, organic. One of my favorites for years was the Montebello pasta, but now that we have Azure Standard, I can buy the organic pastas in bulk and get a better price. And so what I do now is I buy, well, they don't have a whole lot of shapes. They have macaroni and they have spaghetti. So those are they have maybe they have a couple others, but mostly it's the macaroni because I don't really have a good way to make macaroni, but pretty much any other shape I can make if, by hand. And macaroni actually it's not a must have. It's just nice to have. But I'm happy with pretty much any shape of pasta. But why would I want to still store up if I can make my own spaghetti and fettuccine and lasagna? Well, I don't store lasagna pasta. I just don't. But if I can make a lot of these things myself with the semolina flour organic, I keep saying that I have stored. Why would I want to store the dry hard pasta? Well, for one, pasta stores amazingly well just in the packages they came in. I don't do anything special with them. I just keep as long as you keep them dry. That's what's important. I've heard they can get weevils and bugs. Never have had that happen. So, maybe if that's an issue, yeah, maybe store in Mylar and then seal it up good. Freeze them first if you want, just like you would your grains. But the thing is, sometimes there could be these things where, let's say, they'll handmade pasta is pretty easy to make. It can be time consuming. Like ravioli takes me at least a couple of hours to make. And maybe you're in a situation, or I'm in a situation like lately with my back, trying to stand there for 2 hours making ravioli. I wouldn't be able to handle that right now with whatever's happening back here in my back to have to stand there for that long. So having pasta that's already all I gotta do is heat up some water and dump it in, cook it, is going to be really nice. Or maybe you're handicapped, or maybe you're very, very busy. Life gets crazy some days. Sometimes you have 4 grandbabies. Sometimes you have 2 great grandbabies. Who knows? And the problem with a lot of prepper channels, the scary, scary stuff. Hey, am I still here? My picture is okay, it looks normal. Was everything okay on your guys' end? Somebody I'm gonna wait for somebody to reply before I get too crazy. Um, Deb says she's running wild right now, LOL. So that part must have got heard that sometimes it's just crazy. I didn't see anything else, but the image froze up and it was kind of weird. Okay, you're normal. Are you sure about that though? Me being normal. Are you sure? Okay. It was just weird because the thing I saw my hands just kind of freeze in midair. So okay, so you guys did see a freeze for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. So what was I saying? I was talking about how a lot of times people say you must store this because of a grid down scenario, or the whole world's going to collapse and there's going to be zombie hordes. Whatever. Okay. That I always like to focus on the fact that there are real life situations that can happen to anyone at any time. Just like me with the 4 grandbabies, or Deb with the 2 great grandbabies, or somebody's sick in the family, or there's a job loss, or maybe it's just a super duper busy day because you have a lot of stuff coming in from the garden that you got to harvest, that you got to dehydrate, that you got to can. You don't have the extra time to hand make your pasta. So you can just grab some pasta out of your pantry and cook it up. It's things like that that I like to focus on because those are good things. It's not always got about the doom, gloom, and scary garbage. That yes, it can happen. I'm not a denier of these things, but I think too many people focus too much on the negative, scary stuff. So that's why I say that. Now, that's number 2. So we got the coffee, we got the pasta, and then number 3 is spices and herbs. And I'm talking specifically about spices and herbs that I don't already grow. Obviously, I'm going to be putting up, well, I don't think I grow any spices, but I grow a lot of herbs. But there are herbs I either cannot grow that I would really like to keep in stock. Not as many of the herbs as there are spices. Spices, I have yet to find a spice I can grow. Not that I've tried many, but things like nutmeg, cinnamon, um, cumin. Let's see what else. What are some others? Cloves, black pepper. I like to stock up on these things. I do grow garlic, but I still stock up on dried garlic slices and granulated garlic. I still stock up on a lot of that. And then just some of the few herbs, especially those that are more related to medicinal uses, because I grow all the culinary herbs I need. Rosemary, well, basil, I usually can't grow a ton of basil. I still will try to grow some because I love eating it fresh, especially adding to salads, but I do store dried basil in bulk just because here I no matter where I try to grow it, I just can't get enough. But the other ones, the oregano, the sage, the thyme, and the rosemary, those just do amazingly well. And golden oregano, no issues with that. But these things that we use for flavor are super, super important because to me, it's a way that we can keep food from being boring, let alone the fact that all of your culinary herbs, as well as the medicinal herbs that you can stock up on or grow, are going to have medicinal benefits. Your spices are also medicinal. They have medicinal benefits. All the spices I use and can think of, ginger, there's another one, turmeric, they all have medicinal benefits as well. And some people kind of forget about that. So I've done videos on most of these things: cinnamon, cloves, ginger, turmeric. I don't think I've done one on black pepper, but peppers in general. We do grow peppers. I grow hot peppers and I'm growing some sweet peppers this year. We'll see how they do. Usually don't do sweet peppers for some reason as well as the hot peppers, but I'm trying again. But so not only can we use all these herbs and spices for adding flavor to our foods to keep things from getting boring, we can also use them for medicinal use. We can use them in making teas and tinctures, and we can also add them to coffees to add flavor or just some more added benefits to our coffee. One of my favorite things to do, especially during the winter, is in my morning coffee is take a pinch of my mixed spice or my spice blend that I make up specifically for this. Well, and or even adding to teas. Like I could just drop a little bit in here to this tea, just add more flavor. And then I'm also getting the health benefits of those things. I just add that to my coffee or my tea and drink it as is. Rarely, almost never do I use any sweeteners in either. Never in my tea, and very, very rarely, maybe once a year, in my coffee if I'm just wanting to make a special treat, like with my pumpkin powder from my own homegrown pumpkins, using my spice blend in there, or using, maybe I don't want all the same spices in there. I just want cinnamon and cloves added to it and a little bit of nutmeg, and then maybe some organic heavy cream or half and half. Pretty darn good. It's good. It's a special treat I may make up once a year. So, or even adding to cocoa. If you like a spicy cocoa, I'm not a big cocoa drinker, but spicy cocoa is so good. Add some cayenne pepper in there, and then maybe a little cinnamon and other types of spices. I mean, you can just make your life so much more interesting, so that if you can't get all this fancy stuff, you've got these things stored so you can make all these things. And then of course you have your cakes and your sweetbreads and your cookies and what else? Oh, some of these spices. Wow, thank you. Thank you for that donation. Oh, let me put my glasses on so I can read. Anna, thank you. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Um what was I starting to say? Oh, there's even savory dishes that are good with a little cinnamon and cloves in them. I know that sounds strange, but the Serbian moussaka, the Greek moussaka doesn't use the spices, but Serbian moussaka uses those kind of spices, the cloves and the cinnamon in the way they make it. They're very different from each other. They both have meat and vegetables and potatoes in them, but the Greek one has that bechamel sauce without those spices, so it's got that creamy egg dairy sauce. But the Serbian moussaka doesn't have that sauce, but then has the spices. So I've taken the two because I like the aspects of both. I've done a video on this. What did I call it? I think I just called it moussaka. But then I explained that there are two different types and that I mix them together. So I'm making the creamy sauce, but also adding those spices. And the reason I like that, it's not something I'd want to eat all the time with those spices because it is a savory dish, but it adds a different flavor that you don't get every day. Now, some people may really hate that, but it is a nice change up for a dinner to have something like that. Mint with cocoa, that's good too. That's another thing I like to do with the herbs that I grow. I like to pick a sprig of my chocolate mint when it's coming in fresh, which actually I do have some coming in fresh now, and I'll just drop that in my hot black coffee and let that kind of steep in there for a little bit and get that nice little chocolate mint flavor in there. And yes, it's called chocolate mint because it's just like peppermint, but has just a hint of a chocolate flavor to it as well. So it's a great one to grow. I love it. Nutmeg is really good grated on lots of vegetables. I guess I haven't tried it on a lot of different things as far as like vegetables, things you would consider more savory. My chocolate mint is still at the old house. Oh no, I miss it. It's my favorite mint right now. It is great. I do really like mojito mint. I wish the chocolate mint grew. It does still grow pretty prolifically, but I wish it grew as prolifically as the mojito mint. That stuff goes everywhere. Everywhere. And it has a nice flavor, but I don't like drying it up for teas through the year because that's one that loses that flavor when it's dehydrated, where some of your other mints, like the chocolate mint, the peppermint, it doesn't lose that strong minty flavor, but the mojito mint, for some reason does. I mean, it still carries some over, but it's not the same. And Linda, I was growing spearmint for a while, but for some reason, and I like the taste of spearmint. I really do. But for some reason, my spearmint always tasted like it just had an odd taste to it that wasn't right. It tasted like spearmint plus diesel fuel or something like that. Not that I've ever tasted diesel fuel, but it was a taste that made me think of some kind of industrial oil or fuel. It was weird, and then it ended up just dying anyway, so I'm like, "That's okay." I think it got crowded out by the other stuff because it didn't grow as well either as any of my other mints. It was just kinda it never spread, but I'm fine with that. And then there's the orange mint. I kinda got off on the talking about mints now, not well, I guess I'm still on topic because 'cause we're talking about, herbs and spices for flavoring. I really like orange mint. It's called orange mint, even though I don't really personally notice an orange flavor or scent, but it has a really wonderful aroma. I love the smell of it. I'd grow it just for that alone. But you can mix it with lemon balm and it makes a really tasty tea. The two, because it's still like a citrusy flavor, it just doesn't make me think orange. And it's not minty. It's not that kind of mint. But lemon balm is a mint too, but it doesn't taste like mint. So the two mixed together are actually quite good. I really like those two together. But again, it's the same thing. Dehydrated. I usually do that when it's coming in fresh because dehydrated is just not the same. Though I'll still dehydrate some up because it's okay. It's just not as good as when it's fresh. So you're minced in over winter. Huh, I would assume if you live in a place that has hard winters, our area doesn't. We just have wet winters. We had a little bit of snow this year. Really late, really late. When was it? March? We finally got a little bit of snow. Didn't last. It melted, then it snowed again, and then it melted. That's, we hardly very rarely have any hard freezes. So most of my stuff like that anything that wouldn't do good in a place that has a hard winter, usually does okay here. I can only remember one year where we had a really, really hard freeze. It was called an ice storm. It was a long time ago. My boys were young, and everything had a thick coating of ice. Every individual blade of grass. It was actually really, really beautiful, but also scary at the same time. Clear ice coating every individual tiny little thing. Branches were big, fat, heavy, thick branches were breaking off from the weight of the ice that was building up on them. And you know what was really funny about that? There's only at one time in the 30, how many years have I lived here? 38 years or something. I've only ever seen that happen one time, but the funniest thing was my sister, who was over in Enumclaw, her boys are pretty close, same age as mine, and my boys, they got the ice storm too, and it must have been the same day. The kids looked out the window or out the sliding glass door. Hey, mom, can we set up the pool? Her kids said that way over in Enumclaw. They're like 4-hour drive away from us. And we're talking on the phone and we both just started busting up because our kids had the same thought. Why would you think that? What maybe they were thinking of having an ice rink. I don't know. It was so silly. Okay. Don't throw that mint out yet. I grow mint in mineral. Does that say mineral buckets? Mineral buckets. Sometimes it will still come up by June. The roots are still in the pot, and 9 out of 10 times it grows back. There you go. Yeah. Well, it's like my spearmint when I did have it. It was always the last mint to start growing. Every year I thought, did it die? Oh, no, it's just the last mint to start growing. Then it did die. I lost it anyway. But like the peppermint, the mojito, the lemon balm, I think the lemon balm is the first one. My oregano is really starting to do good, so it won't be long before I'm dehydrating up some oregano. So I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, so those are the 3 foods I talked about today. I think the next video I do like this will be similar, but it will be about this is about the 3 that I store, like things I have to buy. I have a coffee plant and it's doing really good, but it's going to be a long time before I even get any cherries on it to collect the beans from to even make a cup of coffee, let alone get enough to store for a long time. But then there's the things that I grow and then stock up on. So I think the next video or 2 that will be what I focus on are those kind of things. So yeah. Anyway, let's see, what was this? Let me click on this. Okay. Just checking. So yeah, that's the 2 topics. I already have a fun topic planned though, that I might not do the food one next live show. Well, it will be a food related one, but it was kind of an interesting topic. And I thought, ooh, this should be fun because I found this list. It was another one of those AI videos, but it was a list of basically forgotten side dishes from the 70s. And some of these I remember well and really, really love them. But I have forgotten about them, and some of them, like, I don't remember those, but some of you might remember, and the list is, like, at least 25 different things. So, I'm like, "This should be fun just to talk about," because you know how it is when you kinda sometimes even though I have a pretty good repertoire of meals repertoire, did I use that word right? I feel like I didn't use it right. I have a pretty good list of meals that I make because I was determined at a young age when I realized that most most families make the same 10 meals over and over. I'm like, okay, then it's my goal to have at least 20 different meals that I'm going to make and then build on that. But like side dishes, it's not something you think about a lot. I usually have like some kind of just, you know, like potatoes or rice, or it's a one dish meal, a side of vegetables if it's not a one dish meal, and then the main dish. So it depends on what the main dish is. If the main dish already has rice or pasta or something like that in it, I may have a side of vegetables. If if it's not a one dish meal. But still, it was my goal. But I'm thinking, man, it would be fun to put together a couple of different lists because I think I came across another one that was like main dishes that would be fun to list off to just you're not going into details on how to make each one of them, but just some ideas because people I'm sure could look up some different recipes for these. Like here's an example, like Waldorf salad. I don't remember when the last time was I ever had a Waldorf salad. But and I don't think I've ever made one. I mean, I've cut up apples and put them in tuna fish before. It was actually pretty good. But, tuna fish so it was actually a savory sandwich with these little sweet pieces of apples in it, which was surprisingly good. But anyway, I just thought it'd be fun for us to just have this list of stuff to give us let us brainstorm about some things that we may have forgotten about or never heard of, and then maybe do a few of these different lists like this so that and also because the 70s they were doing a lot of stuff with Cool Whip and other such things when you can just use homemade whipped cream for to replace the Cool Whip in anything. So also talking about healthier, cheaper ways to do it or canned, cream of mushroom soup. You don't need to do that. It's easy to make your own mushroom gravy and use that. That's what I've been doing for years. Once I realized that, oh, I can make this. I don't have to buy this Campbell's cream of mushroom soup to make this casserole. But anyway, so yeah, I just thought that would be fun. So I might do that one next live show. I think that would be a fun one to do. And then if you guys like that, and it's like, okay, whoa, I got some fresh ideas or some ideas I totally forgot about where I can just add a little more spice or flair to my meal plan. Yeah. So scalloped corn. Yeah, that was one of the ones in there I hadn't heard of before. I'd never heard of it before, but it sounded really good. What was it called? Scalloped corn? I don't know. Let me look at my list. I don't want to give everything away, but I think there was one called um scalloped tomatoes. I'd never heard of that either. But there was one about corn. I don't know if they called it scalloped. What was it? Corn pudding. That sounded kind of good. Anyway, so I'm sure this isn't going to cover all of them, but it would also be one of those fun things too, where you guys could interject just like Jen did here. Um, and like, oh, we used to make this too. Yeah, I mean, hey, anything that we can do to build our meal planning, especially if it's based on stuff we already have on hand, we don't have to run to the store and get stuff because we have a lot of this stuff already in our food storage, already in our pantry. How great is that? So anyway, I think it will be a lots of fun. What time is it? It's afternoon. So I think I should probably get going. I was trying to think. I thought there was another announcement or something I was going to make. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm sure I had that light on. Whatever. Maybe the battery's dead. I got to recharge it. Watergate salad was another one. You guys are guessing a lot of the ones. I think they don't call it Watergate salad anymore. People still make it. Or wait, no, I think they might call it something different now. What's the one they call See, yeah, I'm thinking of well, there's ambrosia. The Watergate one was the one with the pistachio. Love that. Love, love, love that. I didn't remember it being called Watergate salad, but apparently it was because it was created all during that same time. I caught a Watergate salad. Some people call it pistachio salad. Okay. And ambrosia is very similar, but it doesn't have the pistachio in it. So, okay. Pistachio salad is what I call it. Next week, it's just going to be like this, where it could be a Wednesday or it could be a Friday. It's usually going to be one of those 2 days that I'll be doing the live show. I just don't know from week to week. I try to do it on days when Jace isn't here because it's easier. I prefer Wednesdays when I can. He's going to be here Friday, but he wasn't here today. It's just a lot easier on me when he's not here. I can focus a little bit better. And so just keep watching. There's a possibility too. I may even some weeks squeeze in a random extra live show. Especially with my back being what it is, and it's kind of hard to stand for too long. And I like the sitting down part makes it a little bit easier. And it's like, well, I could just do it as a live show and just do like I've been doing and then make it into its separate video later. And that works good time wise for me in a lot of ways. Plus I get the fun. We all get the fun of just chatting. And then you guys getting to see me at my meanest, the way I started this live show. It's not to you guys though that are here. You guys are all cool. I never have to yell at you guys. And don't give me reason to. Don't start pushing my buttons, man. Oh, where's Tammy? Was she here? Tammy's the one I'm always giving a hard time to. Tammy. Now I'll have to give her a hard time next time I see her. Now I have a reason to give her a hard time next time. If she makes it in. Maybe she'll be too scared. There was also a wilted lettuce salad. That was in the list, but yes, I remember that too. I bet you could do the same thing, Deb, with the beef bacon. I know some people like turkey bacon. I just I'm not saying I don't like it. I mean, I think it tastes all right. To me, it tastes more like ham. If you're wanting something that tastes more like bacon, beef bacon. Man, the Painted Hills is so far they're Painted Hills' newest one where they call it the classic. It is my favorite. You get the bacon grease from it, and it's all beef. It's all pasture raised right down there in Oregon. No hormones and all that added nonsense. And yeah, and I use that beef bacon grease that I've been missing for years from back when we used to do pork bacon. And so it's been great to have that. Cooking frying potatoes in that beef bacon grease. Yum, yum, yum. Yeah, a lot of the turkey stuff. I don't mind it so much when I take the ground turkey and mix it with beef or elk or deer, ground, and then make something out of it, like a sausage or something. But I still think, I do have some ground turkey that I got from Butcher Box. I keep forgetting I have it, and I might end up using it up and then just go back to using the beef or the lamb that we do have some. We did get, because of your arrangement we made a couple years back of doing some work for some people so they could put in some infrastructure for their sheep that they were going to get. One of the trade-offs was they were to pay us with some meat. And I tell you what, massive difference between Icelandic sheep and other, you know, sheep meat, lamb meat that I've tried, which to me, we both don't really care for lamb except for this. This is so good. It's very mild. It doesn't have that same kind of wild flavor that you get from goat or most sheep. And so I did a leg of lamb, and oh man, it was good. The meat just was falling off the bones. And then I made a soup out of the extra, obviously got some bone broth out of it, and lots of ground lamb. And I've tried that in at least one thing. I'm trying to be a little sparing with it because it is so good. I'm trying to stretch it out. I don't know that I'll ever have the opportunity to get that again or make that kind of deal again. I'd like to, but I'm allergic to pork, so turkey, ham, and bacon and pepperoni is what I do. Have you ever tried beef though, like a beef bacon or anything like that? Because I made, was it last year or year before, I was making like beef pepperoni with ground beef, or was that what I used? Did I use all beef or did I use turkey and beef? Or did I use elk? I don't remember. I think I still had some elk or deer in the freezer. I think I might have finally worked through most or all of it. Anyway, I think it was beef pepperoni. You can make it yourself. I do have some smoked it was last year, by the way. Smoked turkey wings for when I make collard greens. Oh dear, elk. Tyler, you are late and I'm getting ready to leave. Shame, shame, shame. I don't know what to do with you. I know you were probably busy with your goats or building fences or milking. Well, that would be with the goats. Planting a garden. You're a very busy guy. I was practicing my French. Mow de lawn. Or that. Patrick was finally able to mow our lawn. It started to get a little bit shaggy, but our lawnmower was broke down. And plus, you're always trying to work around the rainstorms. But he finally got our front lawns mowed. I was like, man, I hope our neighbor. But then again, it's like that. Most people's yards around here do start looking pretty shaggy because usually, if it's a nice day, it's a day where you don't have time to go do it because you're busy doing something else, like working. So anyway, okay, I keep stopping reading things. Yes, I've tried beef bacon, and my husband says it's too dry. Sometimes it depends on the kind you get. Because the Painted Hills, the first one I was buying, I really liked the flavor, but it was a little tough and a little dry, not enough fat in it. But their classic one is super good. It's the only one I want now. So it probably all depends on the brand. I don't know how far Painted Hills sells their stuff, but I do know over on the east side of the states, I'm not sure where you live. You've probably told me 15,000 times, E. Townsend, if I'm saying it right. But if you do live on the east side of the states, I know there's other brands that some people really like, but I won't remember the name of them. We've had lots of rain, so ours was about 6 to 8 inches long. You had a lot of rain, huh? That's surprising. Did you start to feel like you were living back in Washington again? Oh, dear. Lots of rain in Texas. Okay, for reals, I need to get going. I do have other things to do, people. But I really enjoy this time. And Tyler, we missed you being in here earlier. Sorry you couldn't make it, but I appreciate you stopping in even for just the last few minutes. But anyway, thank you everyone for coming in. Really, really enjoy our time together and you letting me vent. So I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for coming in. Take care and God bless. Love ya.